Assalamualaikum, I'm Asyraf Adhwa from University Malaysia Terengganu, and today I would like to present about Polychaete-based silver nanoparticles inhibit the growth of antibiotic-resistant bacteria. So a little bit about antibiotics. Antibiotic is an agent to inhibit bacterial growth, which can be bactericidal, totally kill the bacteria, or bacteriostatic, which means it put the bacterial growth on pause or on static. And a little bit history about antibiotics have been found accidentally by Alexander Fleming in 1928, and the first antibiotic discovered is penicillin, which is a type of beta-lactam antibiotic. And the figure here itself shows that specific antibiotic types that act on specific target on the bacteria, which it able to kill the bacteria on the specific mechanism itself. So the discovery antibiotic allows countless life being saved from the harmful pathogenic diseases. But the usage of antibiotic, the abuse usage of antibiotics made us come across to a phenomena called the antibiotic resistance. So what is antibiotic resistance? So it is a condition where antibiotics are no longer effective towards bacteria, which caused by abuse, misuse of antibiotics, poor hygiene, and bacterial selection itself. So in 2019, 4.5 million deaths were associated with antibiotic resistance, and the leading pathogens as follows. But in this study, we're focusing on Escherichia coli and Staphylococcus aureus, which is the two main leading pathogens that contribute to the death. And it is expected to reach 10 million AR-related deaths by 2050. So we are in dire need of the alternatives to combat antibiotic resistance. So what we are going to use? So we're going to use silver nanoparticles, which is a microscopic particles of silver in nanometers, which they have the size of 1 to 100 nanometers, and they have advanced and unique properties in such as opticals, electricals, and thermal properties. But most importantly, they have excellent or broad spectrum antimicrobial properties. Due to these unique properties, they've been used in so many things such as cosmetic, personal care, textiles, and so on. So this is the current projectile for the silver nanoparticles in the market, and it's expected to reach 3 billion by 2024, and it is expected to reach a lot more higher due to the COVID-19 pandemic, where nanotechnology and silver nanoparticles are used as alternative to reduce the spread of COVID as antiviral agent and as sanitizer. And how to synthesize silver nanoparticles? There are three main methods to synthesize silver nanoparticle, which is the chemical, physical, and biological method. But in this study, we're using biological method. It is easy and eco-friendly, and specifically use marine organism or polychaete extract itself. So what is polychaete? Polychaete is a marine worm. There are segmented annelids and processes parapodia, which is their tiny legs on each segment here. And in Malaysia, 64 species and 31 families has been found so far. So why polychaete? Well, polychaete has the potential to be used in neurodegenerative studies, wound healing, recreational bait, pollution indicator, and most importantly, as nanoparticle production. And the application and commercial cycle of polychaete allows the community involvement and the implementation of 3R, which is reduce, reuse, recycle, where no waste from the polychaete body will be wasted, as the body will be used for the nanoparticles productions, because not all application will use the polychaete, the total polychaete body itself. So the unused polychaete body will be used for the nanoparticle productions. So in this study, we use Mapisa moribidi, our own local marine polychaete, locally known as red bacau, which is usually used as fish bait, can be found around 45 cm for mangrove surface and able to act as reducing agent. So the objective for this study is to synthesize and characterize nanoparticles from Mapisa moribidi extract and to investigate the antibacterial properties of biosynthesized silver nanoparticle on selected antibiotic resistant bacteria. So for the scientific discoveries from the study, we found out that the addition of the polychaete extract with the silver nitrate, the metal precursor, are able to induce the silver nanoparticle production based on the color changes to the typical brown color of silver nanoparticles. And for further characterizations, for the UV spectroscopy analysis, we found out that the silver nanoparticles have surface plasma resonance peak at 397 nanometers, which is the typical peak for spherical silver nanoparticles. And for dynamic light scattering is to predict the size of silver nanoparticle, where they have the average size of 54.13 nanometers. So for scanning electron microscopy to study their morphology, we found out that they have spherical like shape and aggregated probably due to the sample preparation itself. And for the EDX mapping, also confirm the presence of the silver nanoparticles of the sample. And for the analysis, we found out that the presence of oxygen and sodium that may probably aid in the silver nanoparticle process. And the two unlabeled peak here is actually aluminium and gold, which is the elements that are used for the sample preparation in this analysis. So for transmission electron microscopy, it confirmed that silver nanoparticle shape is indeed spherical in shapes, which is consistent with the previous study using similar reducing agent, and the size ranges from 1 nanometers to 92 nanometers, which the mean size was 17.33 nanometers. And for the Polychaete abstract characterizations, for the FTIR analysis, for radio transform infrared analysis, which is used to detect possible reactive compounds that involve in a silver nanoparticle synthesis, and we've managed to find carboxylic acid, nitriles, alkenes, aromatics, amines, and alkyl halides, which usually can be found in ethers, sterols, carbohydrate, proteins, fatty acid, and peptides. So for the XRD analysis, we cannot find any sharp peak which indicate the crystalline nature of the extract itself, which means that the microscopic extract itself induced the silver nanoparticle reduction for the silver nanoparticle synthesis. And for the diffusion assay, we use the two antibiotic-resistant bacteria, which is the methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus and extended spectrum beta-lactamyces producing E. coli. So based on the diffusion analysis, we found out that the biosynthesized silver nanoparticles are able to inhibit the bacterial growth from 0.5 nanomolar to 0.038 nanomolar. Lower concentration than this, we cannot see any inhibition. So even though the inhibition not as strong as the commercialized antibiotics, but have promising results to be developed as antibacterial agents. So for minimum inhibitory and bactericidal concentration, for MIC, minimum inhibitory concentration, it complements to the diffusion, which is inhibit 0.03 nanomolar of silver nanoparticle. Why we also do minimum inhibitory concentration? Because sometimes silver nanoparticle act differently when it is on solid media in comparison to the liquid media, because the diffusion rate on solid media are much more lower compared to the liquid media. And for minimum bactericidal concentration, which is to determine whether it is bactericidal or bacteriostatic based on the ratio, it is bactericidal if the ratio is 4, less than 4, or bacteriostatic if more than 4. So since the MBC is much higher for the concentration used in this study, for the stock concentration used in this study, we are unable to identify whether it is bactericidal or bacteriostatic due to the limitation of this study, which is the concentration of silver nanoparticles can be increased from the stock solution due to its instability once it is converted into the solid form. So for time kill assay is to determine whether it is bactericidal or bacteriostatic based on the percentage kill at 6 hours, which is 90%, or 99.9% kill at 24 hours, which can be defined as a bactericidal agent. Since all concentration of silver nanoparticles are unable to inhibit bacterial growth at 99.9% at 24 hours, so current conclusion is that with the available biosynthesized silver nanoparticles concentration, it is bacteriostatic towards the antibiotic resistance bacteria. So conclusion, Polychaete-based silver nanoparticle Synthesis is easy, biocompatible, and materially friendly, and also biosynthesized nanoparticles have antibacterial properties that can be developed as antibacterial agent when further optimization will be done, especially towards the antibiotic resistance bacteria. And at the same time, the local marine polychaete commercial value will be increased due to their hidden potential in scientific research. And this is the references.